Hi, Lori.
Hi, Mel.
How are you doing today?
Oh, I still have a little bit of this cold hanging on.
Those colds just do that.
They just don't let go.
That's that time of year too. Being inside all the time and children giving things back and forth that you have to be around. Yeah. Yep. How's the weather down there?
Uh, nice. We had lots of snow, so ground's insulated. It was sunny the last couple days, getting ready to snow again, so nice and warm.
Yeah, it's warm up here. We just got lots of snow. So, and it's snowing again. We we got 12 inches over the weekend, and then we're looking at least another 8 to 10 inches today and tomorrow,
Oh,
maybe
that'll
more.
plants
But,
need that.
but it's light and fluffy, so yeah, it's good. We I could do with less snow. For sure. Yeah. Hi, Emma. Nice
Hey, how
to
are you?
I'm good. Hey, Melissa. I'm glad you're here.
Ooh, hi, nice to be here. Thanks for letting me join.
No worries. We'll give people a little more time to join in. There's Max. Yay. Oh, cool. You're not alone, Max. Yay. I'm glad you are here. Yay.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. How are things down in Kodiak?
Good. We're actually out in the community of Akiak right now, moving
Ah,
an NFT cabinet over to the school, getting that set up.
cool.
Going.
I did some stuff with Akiak way right before COVID. Um, we were working with some teachers that were starting hydroponics, and I think they left, and then things got kind of, I never heard back from them as to what they were doing. Because did they still have some of the systems that they had, or is this all new stuff?
I don't know about the ones since pre-COVID, but we had an extra cabinet that we got out here a couple years ago.
Okay.
And then some new teachers came in and really interested in
Oh,
agriculture and
good.
getting the kids growing. So we're
Yeah,
doing
it was like we were supposed to go back to the schools and we got them set up with a bunch of systems. And then we were supposed to go back to the school there, and COVID hit in March, and we were supposed to go there the week that COVID hit.
oh,
So
geez.
it didn't happen. And then they were like, "We'll keep going and hoping this ends," and it didn't end, and they didn't have us come back out because they weren't allowed to have folks come in.
Only 1 year.
But they had a technology grant that we were helping them out with, and the hydroponics. They had this lady who was their science teacher in the middle and high school, and she was just like totally gung ho. The kids made all kinds of stuff. They were doing microgreens and a whole bunch of stuff. It was great. I still have pictures if you want to see what we had started there. But they
Yeah.
had they had bought all this stuff, and I know they brought some stuff over from one of the other schools up the river, and they were going to start this big system, but I think everybody got a little messed up with COVID. No, that's what did it. That's what everybody. So, hey, Marissa, glad you're here.
Hey, how is everyone?
Yay. Good. Good. Well, we're almost 5 minutes in, so why don't we just do a quick round robin and tell people who you are, because there's a few new folks, new faces here, and what your connection to hydroponics is, maybe a teeny bit about what you're doing, and after Max's presentation, we'll have a little more time to share more info about your projects if you want to talk more. So. Emma, you're a first on my screen, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah, I work for Tyonek Tribal Conservation District, and right now we have you know what Lettuce Grow is, that brand? We've got four towers, one in our office in Anchorage, and then three in the school in Tyonek. And then we've corresponded with you, Mel, about putting together a deep water culture system. but I like hit my limit on what I knew what I was doing. So we're right now it's just sitting in the science room, like partially constructed.
We are going to get it put
Yeah.
together, Emma. We are going to do it. And we're going to get that thing going and producing food soon.
Totally.
Soon.
But yeah, I
Yes.
just figured I'd sign up for your guys' working group. I think Kaylee, the program manager for Tyonet Grown, is usually at these, but she's easing back into work after having twins. So
Cool. Pick somebody, Emma. Go next.
Marissa.
Hey everyone, my name is Marissa, and I am a cooperative extension agent for UAF in the Tribes Extension Program. So I serve the Aleutian Pribilofs, and I am also an AFPC board member. So I serve on this committee as kind of a report out back to the board. And have a general interest in hydroponics because I think there is a lot of interest in it in the Aleutian Pribilof region due to bad weather, but we're definitely still in the beginning stages. So I usually just sit and learn from other folks. But in exciting news, Mel is actually going to do a webinar for our region coming up here in a month or a little over a month. So hopefully we get even more people excited about potentially even building their own units out in the region. Nice to see everyone. I will pick on Kelly.
Just doing a quick, I'm a little late, quick update and what we're up to.
Yeah, just who you're with, and we can do more updates on things that you're doing later, but just do a
Okay.
real quick one right now.
So I'm at King Tech doing the farm and food program. Kelly Ballantyne worked at Seeds of Change for many years, doing hydroponics over there. We do have a deep water culture system in the background there that's doing pretty good. So Emma, if you're in Anchorage, you're welcome to come by and check it out. Maybe it can help you figure out how to finish up yours. And yeah, we're doing pretty good. Our Dutch buckets did grow. The peppers grew too tall over the weekend. And I came in on Tuesday and they'd fallen off the windowsill and they're all like this big pile of like buckets and peppers and expanded clay pellets and 40 gallons of nutrient solution. I don't know where it went, but that's learning curve. So, never a dull moment. But yeah, we're doing good. We're gearing up to run our plant sale. So not hydroponic. We sell about $4,000 for the plant starts every spring. So that's us.
You want to pick somebody, Kelly, or you want me to pick somebody?
Yeah, well, did we pick on the Kodiak crew?
Not yet.
Kodiak crew, picking on you guys.
Hello, I'm Aaron Semyonov, and I'm a community catalyst with Cali, and I'm here to learn just as you guys. I'm new to the agricultural and hydroponic sector, and I'm trying to learn as much as I could.
Yeah, and I'm Max Lyons, working with Cali as well, which is the Kodiak Archipelago Leadership Institute. And we serve primarily the Kodiak region and the coastal communities, 6 communities around the Kodiak region. Anything related to long-term sustainability, but a big effort over the last 10 years has been local food production and food security. Dipping our toes into mariculture too, but for the purpose of this meeting, yeah, we've been getting hydroponics going across the region and communities to allow for year-round food production and production in the winter months. So good to be here. I can pick on Melissa.
Great. Hi, all. I'm Melissa Hoyer. I have a small consulting company based in Anchorage called Sport Consulting. And I'll talk a bit more at the end, but I am jumping onto these calls to start learning as much about what's happening with hydroponics in the state as possible. And I'll share a bit more about that at the end. And I'll jump over to Lori.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lori Irwin. I do research into indigenous foods grown in different types of hydroponic systems. I work with Amy Foote at NMS, and we are looking at trying to create a commercial market for anyone who's interested in selling hydroponic foods to NMS. Amy would be your buyer. Right now, I'm working on some trials of doing stinging nettle And we've got a dock off going where we're trying both curly dock and sour dock to see which hydroponic systems are the best supporters to grow those plants. And that's me.
Perfect. That's great. I think we've all gone. Yeah, I'm just double checking, making sure I didn't skip anybody. There was Katie came in, but then she disappeared. Uh, don't know what happened. But well, I'm gonna hand it off to Max and Mirren, was it?
Aaron.
Aaron, sorry. I heard it incorrectly, so I apologize.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna let you guys talk about what we asked you to share for our spotlight today, and then after they share, we'll do a little more deep dive into what's going on with everybody if anybody wants more sharing time. So I'm gonna hand it off to you guys.
Perfect. Thank you. And I apologize. It's been a busy last week, so I didn't prepare a presentation. I can send one out after this and send some resources, but something that we've been really diving into and exploring over in Kodiak, something I just kind of wanted to open up for discussion and sharing and any information people have or ideas is around grow media for hydroponics. And I know we've touched on this a little bit in the past on different webinars or curious about what people are using, but still trying to look for kind of a go-to source for grow media in Alaska or several sources. And ideally something, that doesn't break the bank with shipping costs, or you're able to coordinate bulk orders. The one downfall of that is it is nice if a farm can just jump online or be able to order plugs as needed without having to coordinate with the whole network. So there's pros and cons to bulk ordering, but that's definitely an option for reducing shipping costs. And then something else that we've run into is something that's plant-based, ideally biodegradable, compostable. Because we got started with our systems and the supplier gave us Oasis Horticubes, which are popular hydroponic grow media. They're just a little synthetic foam cube. So it's great because it's inert, neutral, and doesn't really impact the nutrients or pH or whatnot. Very breathable, so good for root growth and air exposure. But something we've been running into more and more is some of our growers are starting to start plants in their hydroponic system and then transplant them outdoors into their grow beds. So then you have these little foam cubes that get planted out in your soil grow beds. And that's not ideal because it's not breaking down, it's just synthetic foam. So we've really been exploring what are different options for plant-based grow media. Running into some different options, for wood pulp. I know some growers are using that, wood-based substrates. There's peat plugs, the pros and cons to the sustainability of peat and peat bogs, and then some other synthetic or plant-based bound material. Easy Plugs was a big one. They're a main producer out in the Netherlands and Europe area. So those are some of the different ones we've been exploring. So then trying to dive into kind of the sustainability of each one, with the peat plugs that we've been looking into, and I'll send some of the specifics. We've run into the idea that the actual netting, some of these little plugs have netting to keep the material bound, but that's often made with plastic fibers and isn't plant-based. So then, you're transplanting little peat plugs, but you still have these little plastic fibers that are getting into your grow beds. So not necessarily the silver bullet. So trying to find, what are good plant-based grow media that we can access here in Alaska. And just kind of bringing that up to be aware of for growers. And I know it's different for each grower. Some growers we work with, it's only large containerized systems. Nothing's getting transplanted outdoors. And so Oasis cubes might be fine but everything has to be thrown out, kind of from the grow cube down to the roots. So that's one option for larger scale growers. It might not be as big of an issue, but I know for the smaller scale growers that we're working with in the communities that are interested in, starting native plants, especially in transplanting those outdoors, or just having the flexibility. Maybe you have too many starts, you're planting extra to start your system and you still have starts left over. That's where we normally see growers transplant into their soil beds. So it'd be really great if we can just have that flexibility of not having to worry about what plugs can be transplanted where, just finding something that is all around suitable for hydroponics and or soil growing. So that's what we've really been exploring and found different options. Most of the shipping costs it's going to cost just about as much as however much product you order. So you get $1,000 in grow media, it's going to cost 1,000 in shipping. Sometimes when you can get that in bulk or pallets by boat, that cost goes down. But then also something that you can order in larger quantities. So not necessarily 20 plugs at a time, but maybe a couple thousand at a time. So kind of that middle ground of maybe not 40,000 plugs at a time, but maybe not 100 plugs at a time. So that was something that we've just been kind of just researching the different options and seeing what's out there. So I kind of wanted to bring that to the table for discussion and any insights people have as to grow media sources, that can be ordered in larger quantities to Alaska. If there's any shipping insights people have for getting things up here, if that's something we should coordinate overall, and just kind of bring that up and open it for discussion. But that's a little bit of the background on our venture for sourcing sustainable grow media for the Kodiak region. And
Sorry.
go ahead.
Do you ever use, can you guys see this on my screen? I can't see here, I'll try to find mine. So that's a iHort. You guys use those before?
Yep. Tried those.
I'm on their website right now and I'm trying to figure out, I think the one that challenges a lot of this stuff is they have the proprietary blend that they don't want to tell you what it is, And so it's hard to sometimes figure out the what's actually in there. And we were buying these at Seeds of Change by the pallet. So we get a pallet of these shipped up and then store them and redistribute them around Anchorage. So other farms would buy the cases off us, and we charge like a minor shipping and handling fees just to cover our the time of us doing all that. But we'd ship it from, I want to say, California by truck to Seattle, and then by Seattle on the Linden shipping to Anchorage. And that, we had to pay for it, but when you're getting by the pallet, I think we're getting like 25 cases or something. So it worked. And that's something I'm wondering if Seeds of Change I don't see Brett here, but we talked about that when I was there as being like a staging point where we could have a big warehouse and like get a pallet of these plugs, and you guys could order and we could ship you out a box or something. We talked about that at one point. But yeah, the website for iHort has a lot of interesting stuff talking about using natural ingredients, and it sounds really good, but none of the articles say what's in their plugs, and these do. I can't. It feels like it's a more like semi-natural material glued together, but in the garden they will definitely. It looks like little dog turds everywhere because they don't decompose like you're saying. They just sit there, but the plants will grow, and then they're great growing media for roots. So I've kind of had mixed opinions if it's bad to have a garden bed full of little brownie looking plugs. I know Peter Casey at Cedar Change, he was hand grinding them to create like a kind of, then it would just be like almost like a soil type material. But I don't know without them telling us what's actually in these plugs, it's hard to know what we're then throwing in our garden when we grind them up,
Yeah, and that's kind of the idea. Is the last thing I'd want is that beautiful soil beds get scattered with something that's maybe not biodegradable or plant-based, and that kind of ruins that growing areas too. So,
well, and I will share with my experience, and I know the GrowHort ones are great, but I needed something that someone could order off of Amazon as well. So I tried the two different plugs that really fit well in the grow towers that we use, which include the lettuce grow towers and our bucket towers. And we found the two varieties they have, which are peat based. One is a Root Riot, and then the other one is Rapid Rooters. And both of those they're really easily breakdownable. I've taken them home and putting them in my soil pots, and then I haven't seen them after once the root system gets bigger. So it to me, they're pretty biodegradable, and you can buy a box of 1,500 of them on Amazon and get it shipped up here. It's like 320 something dollars. I was just checking it to see. But they do come in large numbers if you wanted to split them out. I usually buy the bags 100 at a time because that's what I give to a school. So make sure they have enough for a couple of different runs on the tower. And they're pretty reasonable, and they come with free shipping if you get it from at least 100 bags are. So you could buy a box of 100 bags and give them out in different spaces. I have tried them in my garden, and again, they seem to decompose pretty well. They're not as tightly packed as the Growport ones because they really do. I actually got accused of leaving brownie crumbs at a place where we were doing a hydroponic grow build, and there was a couple of bits left on the table, and someone who came in was like, "They left brownies." And so they do look like brownies. They break down pretty darn easily, and they do blend into the soil. And it is a really loose glue that they use to keep those together. So there's no netting involved in those pods. So I would look into them, and it's up to you. But if I had a go-to, I would use those. I have gone away almost entirely away from rock wool because rock wool doesn't break down. And occasionally I have gotten plants to resprout in the root riot when they didn't go, and I just put another seed in there so you don't have to throw it out if it didn't go. So I have been able to do that. That was another concern. Do you have to throw it out if your seed is dull and it gets a little bit of algae on it? No, you can try reusing them, and it works fine. So those are my 2 cents on that grow media. I where's Scott in my office, he really, because of the size of the holes in the systems that he's using, he likes the little small 1 inch rock wool cubes. For him, that works, and they just cut it off and throw it out. But if you need something that's biodegradable, I'd go with the Rapid Rooters or the Root Riot. Easy shipping, and they are available in other companies if you don't want to do Amazon. So, just my 2 cents.
No, that's great to know, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's another big part is, I guess, blending what Kelly and Mel said is on one thought train, and one thing we could do is, we slowly create a map of growers around the state, and people can estimate their yearly usage and then coordinate hubs in different locations and do bulk orders. That would be incredible. And might be even cheaper shipping, but it'd be also good to have a plan B of, if you need a couple hundred or 1 to 2,000, you can get them on Amazon, and that might even get free shipping out to your community or your village. So having both options available and kind of creating a good resource sheet for people so they can see, here are kind of all the options out there. Here's a general cost breakdown, per plug or a total cost. But I think that'd be a really valuable resource to people as the resource sheet one, and then maybe coordinating some of those bulk ordering, as you mentioned, Kelly, if we can identify different hubs and locations that are able to store bulk amounts of grow media, but also know that they do have outlets in their area, so they're not just stuck with a couple 40,000 cubes coming in, and then it sits there for a couple years because there's no off takers. We want to make sure that that's all coordinated. And I just ordered some. They're called Organi plugs. And it might be related to the two you were talking about, Mel, but that's another one that I just found on Amazon. And you can order up to a 2,000 pack with, I believe, free or low cost shipping. So I'm kind of looking at both of those options. What are Amazon, usually in some of the communities, you can still get free shipping out here with Prime. So that's great. If a community just needs something quick, but then also on the second train of thought is the bulk ordering too. Because we have we're up to about maybe 6 or 7 hydroponic containers on Kodiak Island. And some of those can grow, 1 to 2,000 plants a month. So when you add up that all for the year, we're talking about a lot of grow media here. So Um, in that case, bulk ordering would make more sense, but for some of our smaller growers, have this alternative option. So I'm glad you both brought up those points. And I see Lori just threw in the chat that she's using a blend of soil coco corp for starts that are intended to be outside. Thank you, Lori. And I know you sent those previously, the biofoam, so we could add that to the resource sheet as well. And then Kelly just mentioned he thinks about 4,000. iHort plugs was about $300, 13 cents per plug. Yeah, and that's something you'll generally see. The more plant-based, the more expensive it's going to be. But
Okay.
at the end of the day, I think it's something that we'd really love to transition to, even if you have to add a couple cents to the consumer, just work that into your budget, that to be able to have the flexibility and not worry about, oh, did you transplant this in soil and you got to dig that out at the end of the season? It's worth the extra.
But and I also think you should take into consideration what are you growing in. Like when at Seeds of Change, they have something that's kind of squished and holds it in there. Whereas, I mean, the plug is really just for stability and having a space for the roots to come out of, but providing that stability. But if you're in a system where it might fall out of it, or that's always the consideration, whether it's vertical or horizontal growing that you're doing is, and how big your hole is that plug is going to be sitting in, whether it's sitting or it's surrounded by the hydroponic clay balls, or is it just sitting in a um, elbow kind of a situation. That's going to determine the shape of what you want to be putting your plant starts into and then moving into your system. Because like it wouldn't make sense to do the iHeart plugs in the lettuce grow towers. They wouldn't fit right because they're more conical, where you need something that's more shaped like the rapid rooters and the root riot for those particular systems. So there isn't a one size fit all, unfortunately. It really depends on the system you're using. And you may need even a bigger cube if you're doing um the bucket system, because you want to make sure that it's got enough stability in there. So these are all thoughts.
If we could get together possibly a list of ones that we all think are good options, I could try and set up a science experiment next semester where my students have to test them all side by side. And we can order a lot of them, or if people could somehow get me samples, but that'd be a good thing for my class to do next fall.
Oh, I love this, Kelly. That's awesome. Woohoo.
Make them do science.
Get these kids involved. Yes. Yes.
That would be awesome. And Mel, I'm glad you brought up the larger vine crops too, because that's something I forgot to mention. But with regards to grow media, we definitely are fans of the Leca Stone pebbles. It's, they're a little heavy maybe to get out initially, but it's really nice that, I mean, you do have to wash them, but they're reusable. Like I joke, it's reusable soil. So that's great that you can get that
Oh
out
yeah,
once to a community and then keep using them.
it's expanded clay pellets, same
Yeah,
thing. That's what
correct.
we've been using, and it works great. And then, so with the Dutch buckets, we actually still use the iHort plugs, but then even though it's small, the plants very quickly put all their roots into the clay pellets, and it's like probably a 1 gallon, maybe 2 gallon bucket that they just go crazy in, and they just fill it right up. So we use these basically for everything, just because it's what I got. And but yeah, I'm definitely love to try out different stuff, and not convinced this is the best option, and it's not easy to get them up here, so I'm curious about the price point though, and that's something I'd be really curious about. And I don't know, maybe I'm not, maybe I don't, I forget how much these cost because I bought them once in the 4,000 pack. We've been burning through it for 5 years, so that might be part of the why I'm like 30 cents a plug. That's a ton of money, but it's because I haven't bought plugs in years because I'm still in the same original case.
Yeah. And as we're all talking now, if people want to put things in the chat or send them in afterwards, I think it'd be valuable. I'd be happy to help create maybe some sort of chart so we can write down, what brand it is, what it's made of, what the estimated cost is per plug, what quantity it can be ordered in, whether it can be small or it
Yeah.
has to be bulk, what systems it works for.
What's the
Are there
best
some?
place, the options for buying them, the companies that we could get them out
Yep.
easily
Or
for
places
shipping?
to order.
And then do they ship to Alaska? That's another
Exactly.
consideration. So,
Because that's one of the questions I get a lot is just about grow media. I'm like, I don't really have a go-to yet. There's all these different options, but there's pros and cons, and just trying to find a handful of good options to people, give people a good resource sheet so then people can make informed decisions.
we had two folks join us, Natalie and it's either Michelle or Alan, I assume, Strux. If you guys want to chime in, if you have questions about what we're discussing, we'd love to hear from you.
I don't have any questions. I'm just here to learn. We don't even have a hydroponic system yet, but we're working towards one at the end of this year. So I'm just being a sponge right now. I appreciate all the talks and all the discussion.
And Natalie, where are you located? Just out of curiosity.
I'm in Chugiash, so I serve the native village of Eklutna. And Max and I think the only person that I know here is Max from our ARF work, but
Yeah, good to see you on here, Natalie.
yeah.
Feel free to swing by King Tech if you're ever in Anchorage. I have like 5 different kinds of systems going at this classroom here, and you can come see what different ways to do it and see if anything looks like something you want to do in the Klutna. We'd be happy to support you in that, and I could have my students kind of tour you around a bit.
Oh wow, that would be amazing. I might just connect with you a little later because we would love that. We're still, like I said, we're still in the thinking phase and the planning phase. So,
Well, and we at Soil and Water have lots of stuff up on our website that might be useful for you. And check us out in our resources section. There's a whole hydroponics page, which you might find some stuff that will help you out there. Simple to a little more complicated systems are up there. Things you can make with what you got laying around too. So that's our goal, is make it as usable friendly as possible. So
thank you. I appreciate that. I will check that out.
Cool.
Natalie, we did a bunch of starts for the Eklutna Gardens at my lab, and we got everything growing from there. We did two different grow medias. Some were done with soil with a cocoa coir mixture because your soils are very, very acidic. And the other one that we did was with a little biosponge. What we found was that in home gardens for things like biosponges and clay pellets, the local kitty cats were digging stuff up, and the roots went with what the kitties were digging up, and so then all their plants were gone too. So I think the biostrate conversation that is being talked about right now has more than one application in how it's going to be utilized and what's going to happen long duration in the community.
Well, I didn't know that. Thank you for saying that.
You can go out and check the Eklutna Gardens. There's a bunch of perennials we put out there. There's a bunch of indigenous stuff that we used. And then we also planted a bunch of annuals that'll come back every year. And I think that Mark is going to be doing work out there again this year. And if that's the case, then I'll be out there to help him, Natalie. So you can ask Mark lots of questions.
Yeah, you mean Mark Canberra?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our seasonal garden position open right now. And it's open until the end of next week. So yeah, if you guys know anyone that would be interested, I definitely reached out to Mark for him to apply because I know he has worked in the garden before and he's very knowledgeable. So we'll see what happens. And can you tell me who you're with, Lori?
I closed Space Farming Institute and we're starting a new nonprofit. So as soon as that's up, I'll tell you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up, Lori, because that's definitely another category to add onto the tables. What crops it's best suited for. You could find good plant-based media that works great for lettuce and hydroponics. You can transplant it outdoors into soil. It breaks down. But if you're doing something, a certain native species that does is maybe more acclimated, like here in Kodiak, to the acidic soils, maybe you'd want to use something that has a little bit lower of a pH or something, and you'll have better results. So that'd be great to add into our table. Thanks for adding that.
Still
And one
looking
other,
for someone to talk more about starting a variety of native plants and hydroponics. Lori gave a great presentation. If you didn't get to see it, we got some, but it would be cool to hear some different people who are trying to grow native plants in other parts of the state hydroponically. It would be kind of cool to have lots of info on, because we get that question all the time. Can we start this? Can we start that hydroponically? Well, let's try it. Let's see what we can do. So I think it's great.
Is
Uh,
Lori's presentation on that available somewhere or the list
It,
available?
yep, it's on the um agenda up at the top. There's a link to the YouTube videos, and it should be up there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
yeah, and that's something we haven't done much of, but everybody's really interested in. So hopefully this season we'll get some more experiments. And I know the two things we want to try are from seed and then from cutting, and the difference of that too, in feasibility. And I know there's benefits to both. The one other thing too I forgot to mention that I've also started to take into account when ordering grow media is how it's shipped, because something you'll notice is some come in preloaded trays and others come loose. And so there's pros and cons to both too. If it comes loose, that's one less waste stream because you don't have all these plastic trays coming out that might be used only one time. But you do have to spend the time, putting those into another tray or getting reusable trays. So that's just something else to be aware of and that also depends on the size of the grower. If you're just using a couple trays a year, it might not be a big deal. But if you're flying through a lot of these trays and then that just ends up in the landfill or you end up burning it, that's something to be aware of as well. So I just wanted to mention that is trying to figure out, take all these different variables into account and see what our best options are.
All right. Max, do you have anything else you wanted to share, or can we start? Because I know Melissa has something she wants to talk about for sure today. Introduce us to a project she's working on with Food Policy Council.
Yeah, we can pass it along. No, I just wanted to hear people's thoughts, spread the word, the awareness of knowing what your grow media is and where it comes from, and if you're transplanting it out too, as hydroponics is gaining traction all around the state. So I think there's more to talk about, and we'll keep you guys updated.
Well, and I think we really need to work on a little more of resources connected to what's up on Food Policy Council so people can start making use of some of the knowledge that's talked about in these sessions and having things that people who are interested in doing hydroponics like you, Nelly, can go there and download some information not only about grow media, but about fertilizers, about you know, lights, all of that stuff that we end up anybody who starts this ends up with questions about how can we do the regenerative fertilizer? Can we do that where we're located? All that kind of stuff. So it should be great. So we've got a little more than 20 minutes left to just have a chat about what's going on. But Melissa, I wanted to give you time because you asked to share about what you're working on with Food Policy Council. So
Yeah, thanks, Mel. It's so great to be part of this group. I'm learning so much already. I've done a little bit of hydroponic growing on my own, but it's nice to hear all the different things that are happening around the state and what people are facing. So my name is Melissa Hoyer, for those of you who came on that missed my intro. I'm with Sport Consulting, and I have the pleasure, I'm just starting a project with the Alaska Food Policy Council looking at hydroponic growing in the state of Alaska. And so for the next 6-ish months, I'm going to be doing a survey of current hydroponic growers in the state and also looking outside the state to see what's happening with how people are growing hydroponically here. And then specifically, we're looking at to see if people are growing using organic practices and if anyone is certified organic and what and where that interest might be. This is funding from the North. This project is funded by the Northwest Organic Northwest. It's funded by organic certifiers. So there's that angle to this work, but we're also really looking at what's happening with hydroponics in the state. And as I said, I am not an experienced on the large scale commercially hydroponic grower. And so there's just a lot of information that I'm working to collect and gather. And much of this we're hoping is going to be useful to you all who are currently growing. And so if there's gaps or there's specific things that you'd like to know about what's happening with hydroponics, what kind of resources, for instance, what are the best potentially platforms that you are using for growing. If there's those kind of questions, I would love to know those things ahead of time. And I could potentially include those in survey questions that are going to go out. So if there's information that you're looking for that would be useful, that you'd like to source from maybe a group that's even outside of this working group that's meeting, if there's other information you're looking at, we'd love to make this as useful as possible for the broader group within the state, while also looking to understand how organics is possible, and if there's any interest in that in the state around this type of production. And so I'll drop my email in the chat. We are just getting started. It's the very beginning phase. And so this is a great time. I'm sure we'll talk to many of you throughout this phase, but please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I'm just excited to see where we can grow and expand this whole operation. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any at this point as well.
I have a question. Are there already pre-existing parameters around organic hydroponic growing, like nutrients and things that, like adding nutrients is allowed, obviously, but, or is it? Like, I don't know.
So for certified organic, there are certainly very strict regulations. I don't know, if you are practicing organic growing techniques, that's a great question that I will look into about what those requirements are. I think a lot of that is just self-reporting that you are an organic, that you're practicing organic growing, right? If you're not certified by somebody. That's a great question that I'll make sure to answer. Yeah, Mel.
Well, okay, so what I understood about organic certification was there was a holdup with doing any hydroponic farming because the basic tenets that they had, it had to be classified as organic, it had to be grown in soil. And that way that was the reason they were using to not certify any hydroponic farms because it doesn't actually touch soil. Are they working towards changing that legislation? Is that's what this is all about? Because I would like to see that. You can have organic practices, but to actually be certified, I don't think you're able to do that because of the soil situation. Technically, they're not allowed to. That was what I understood.
Yeah, so there are at least a few certified organic hydroponic growers in the country. Northwest Top, which is who is funding this project, is interested and hoping to expand hydroponic certification in the state and in their region. And my understanding is that it is not a requirement any longer to have soil as part of that. I will 100% guarantee that I have the correct answer to that before we move on, and I'll report back on that. But that is where that is going at this point.
Melissa,
Yes.
there was a court case where the organic growers were suing the hydroponic growers, and they wanted to be able to keep the term organic for soil growing. They were trying to protect their brand. And the judge, at the time that the hearing was done, asked them to provide information that showed that they were substantially different than hydroponics, and that hydroponics couldn't also be used in their soil practices. They couldn't provide the information the judge wanted. So in the end, they lost the case. So they no longer have control over the term organic anymore as to being only for soil. It now applies to both hydroponics and soil growing.
Are they working on changing that on the USDA level as well? And I know that they are starting to support more hydroponics, but these are things interesting. If you're doing this research, I wonder how that all goes in, because I know there was bias in the USDA against hydroponics, large scale hydroponics in any case, but that's why a lot of them couldn't get certain types of loans through USDA because of that classification. They weren't growing in soil. So I would love to have maybe we should have a document on our webpage about this because I'm the one I teaching people, and I still thought that you couldn't be listed as organic. Thank you, Lori, for sharing that because it's good to know.
Yes, and I think Mel, the goal at the end of this is that there is going to be a report and then a basic like what that looks like. So these questions will get answered. Please keep throwing these questions out there because that's what we will look at and understand. I think there is a lot of unknown about even if it's possible to grow organically. I don't know if anyone is doing what they are classifying as organic growing currently in the state. I know not certified. There's no certified organic hydroponic growers in the state right now. But if anyone is practicing organic practices, I'd also love to know about that and sourcing for how you're getting your fertilizers and the other aspects of that too. Kind of looking at all those angles.
Well, ironically, I had a preschool program that gave me back their tower because were told by their agency that unless we were using all certified organic fertilizer, they couldn't have it around the kids, which I thought was kind of weird and silly. But so it does affect things when we have to make sure that those practices are carried. But finding the right thing to present to them to say, yes, this is organic fertilizer. This is where it comes from. It was hard, and I just gave up the fight. But there they had plants in there, and I actually saw a thing of miracle grow in the corner, and I just shut my mouth.
Yeah, and I'd be interested if that extends. I would guess it's fertilizer and then probably maybe grow media, if that's a component of it, because that's actually something I came across for it was the Jiffy J7 peat plugs. And it says that they're OMRI listed, and that would qualify for organic growers to accommodate organic growers. That was something they actually promoted for their plugs, is that these can fit organic hydroponic operations. So be interested in, yeah, what components and what needs to be presented by those producers to the supplies to certify that as organic.
Great. Yeah, at the end of this, we are going to have a workshop. It will be a hybrid workshop, both in person and online. And we'll have someone from Northwest Top there as well who's going to answer any additional questions that we haven't uncovered. But this is all really helpful to get us to where we want this to be useful to people who are interested in becoming certified organic or just organic growing. So keep throwing these questions out because they're things that clearly need to be answered.
Oh, thanks, Melissa. I'm glad you're doing this work. That's wonderful that they got some funding for doing this, and happy that we're here to help with some of it.
Me
All
too,
these-
yes. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, no problem. Is there anybody else who would like to do any sharing today about what's going on with the work that they're doing?
I can tell you that the term organic stopped being used in the state of Alaska because the only place to get certified as an organic grower was coming out of Washington and Oregon. And they were charging airfare, they were charging hotels, they were charging all of that extra cost to us to come up here and get certified, which they did not charge to anybody in Oregon or Washington. And in the end, we found out that the consumer didn't care about the term organic so much as is it local. And so the extra cost to the grower wasn't deemed necessary to do organics.
So, Laura, just to clarify, we do actually have a number of certified organic growers in this state who do pay for the certifiers to come up. We've done, we just did, there's a number of projects that AFPC has been working on around certified organic, and there is a strong preference for local, for sure, in the state, but certified organic by the USDA standards is still a real thing in the state. And there are farmers who are participating in that process at a very high expense.
We have a farm up here in Fairbanks that used to be one of the only certified organic farms, and then they became a pot growing farm, and they're still certified organic, which is kind of cool. He has them come up and double check it on a regular basis, as far as I understood. So, yeah, we definitely have one up here. We don't have many others, but we do have him. So, them. It's his wife too. I'm looking forward to going out to Toyonic and seeing the system and helping you guys out. I did see your pictures of your kids' harvest. That was pretty awesome on Facebook. That made me big smile to see those kids look so happy at their
They,
harvest.
yeah, they're at the Harvest Festival, from the farm at the end of the growing season. Like for
You posted them recently. I think they
I
were,
am bad at Facebook, but
yeah, it was.
the potato harvest specifically was, yeah, very a joyous experience. They were all I would hear is like silence and then potato, potato.
uh,
Like
No,
this
it
thing
was
was.
definitely the lettuce that you were growing in
Oh, okay.
in the lettuce grow towers. They were having a party and they had a big basket full of lettuce. It was
Okay, yeah.
pretty cool to see. So,
Yeah, I'm excited that we'll have a lot of space to grow more lettuce. The lettuce is the most popular thing to be like served at the school, and all the kids really like watching it grow.
so I'm gonna just pick on the Strucks who are here. Um, can you introduce yourself and because you joined later and just say what brought you here and if there's anything that you're working on that you'd like to share with the group?
Hi, Melissa. It's Michelle.
I figured it was.
My son Elijah was interested in hydroponics, and he was just sitting here a minute ago, but he had to go let the dog in. We do a lot of in the dirt growing, and we live in Delta, and we do a lot of in the dirt growing. And he just wanted to do something for fun during the winter time, and was asking if he could do the hydroponics. And so we're kind of investigating all this.
Well, there's a lot of folks here who will be happy to answer questions and help out with
Thank you. There is
email
a
if
lot
you
of
want.
information.
And of course, you can come visit us in the office too. We would happily share him here if you are up in Fairbanks anytime soon. You can
Okay, that's great.
come on over, bring him here.
Thanks.
No problem. Anybody else? No, we can certainly stop early and I'm going to put out a plea if anybody has any knowledge, if anybody else who would like to give a presentation for next month's meeting. I would love to have new folks giving presentations, sharing. We'll figure out what we're going to do for next month. We don't have anything planned as of right now, but Marissa and I and Max, maybe we can put our heads together and come up with some. But if you have ideas, send them on. If there's something you're really interested in, ask us. Maybe we can find someone to give a presentation on it. And that's what we're here for. And thanks, Max and Aaron, for giving a presentation on what you guys are doing down there. It's awesome. Marissa, did you want to say anything?
Nope. Just wanted to say bye to everyone with my face. Sorry, my Wi-Fi was being kind of weird. But there should be notes with everything. So Max, especially if you're looking for a reflection of what people were saying, the notes should have all the different grow media. So
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying to take some on my phone. Thanks for listening to me ramble about grow media. More to come. Good to see some new
nice
faces
seeing
on
everyone.
that. Yeah.
Nice to see
Yeah.
everybody and have a great month until next month is, ooh, it's starting getting closer. It's gonna be putting seeds and getting ready to go. But those of you who are, I've got plants growing right now. I'm excited about getting them big. So, all right. Happy happy rest of your day, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
No, Daddy says there is dirt out there.